Hello everyone and welcome to the second game of the quarterfinal match of the Freestyle Chess Grand Slam Paris tournament between Hikaru Nakamura and Arjun. Sorry for uploading it not immediately. I had some issues with my throat. Now hopefully I've fixed it. I applied the Rosendo Balina's gambit. I injected huge amounts of honey and hopefully it will work. So let's see what happened. This is Hikaru with white, and he opened with pawn to c4. The first game ended in a draw, so this means whoever wins this one goes to the semifinals. And if it's a draw, they go into tie breaks. And Hikaru does what we usually do. You open up the light square bishop, you open up the rook. Other idea would be f3 or f4. Well, opening up the bishop, the queen, and well, the king as well. So c5 by Arjun, we have pawn to f4, now opening up the bishop and the queen, and pawn to d6. And it was a pretty, as you've probably seen from the thumbnail, a pretty casual opening where mostly symmetrical. Knight c6, knight to c3, pawn to f5, knight to c2, knight to c7, and queen f2 and queen f7. So going for symmetry and castles kingside. This is what's cool about Fischer Random. You can just castle from seemingly any position. Castles kingside as well, pawn to e3, pawn to e6, keeping it symmetrical, and now pawn to d4. And for those of you who are maybe new to chess, are wondering why wouldn't we just play symmetrical moves, all the time? There exists this mechanic in chess called, well, check, and that prevents it. If you try to go symmetrical all the way, then look at this. Captures, 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 captures comes with check. Now you would have to deal with that, and then of course you would be down a queen. So if you just play symmetrical moves, you either lose the queen or get checkmated. That's how chess works. So bishop f6, we have bishop to f3, queen to e7, and the rook to d1. We have bishop to f7 and queen to e2, just putting pieces on optimal squares. Hikaru doing a little bit better on time. And Arjun says, all right, pawn to d5. I've did everything I could. Now it's possible to execute d5, which means that Arjun, well, definitely agrees that he equalized the position, at least. And the engine definitely agrees with him. The position is assessed as absolutely equal. Pawn to b3, Hikaru also agrees. We have rook f to d8 and bishop to f2. Knight to a5, we have knight to a4, d captures on c4, b captures on c4, c captures on d, e captures on d, and now look at this. It seems like everything is defended, but knight captures on c4. Arjun spots a very nice sort of sacrifice, but if you capture, then pawn to b5, well, you have problems. So Hikaru plays the absolute best move. Bishop captures on b7, rook to b8, and now knight to c5. Okay, not a problem. Arjun just goes after Hikaru's bishop. Hikaru brings it back, and knight to d5. Now Arjun gaining a lot of space with those central knights. Queen to d2 and knight to c4. We have queen to c1 and queen to d6. Pawn to g3, and this is where everyone thought that the game would take a completely different turn. Arjun played rook d to c8, which is nice, but there was this really awesome idea of knight to c3, which would allow Hikaru to sacrifice the queen, but it's not the best queen sacrifice. I mean, it's a nice one, knight b7, and after rook captures on c1, you will play rook captures on c1, now with the queen and knight hanging, and once the queen moves to b6 or b8, doesn't really matter, you're going to capture on c3, the knight on b7 is nicely defended, and now after, let's say, knight to d2, knight captures on d8, knight captures on f3 with check, rook captures on f3, and queen captures on d8, and this is the position that you would get. Yes, you have two rooks for the queen, but the bishop pair on an open board and the white king out in the open, this is definitely black playing for the win. So after g3, definitely a miss for Arjun. He goes rook d to c8, sort of trusts Hikaru, and Hikaru goes knight e1. We have knight to b2, rook to d2, and queen to b6, but now just rook to c2, and Hikaru is completely back in the game. Not a worry in the world. Queen back to d8, and now it seems like you can capture the knight here, but not really. After captures, there's the problem of the bishop on f6, so just rook captures on c5, and you basically trade down into a very, very equal game. So if Hikaru wants to play this for more than a draw, he cannot play that. He plays queen to d2 and queen to e8. We have queen to e2, knight to a4, offering a trade of knights, and knight e to d3. Much better than knight c to d3. We have knight a to c3. You could also capture on c5, something like captures. You play pawn to h6. And you know, just have a nice calm game. But Arjun seemingly wanted more here. He played knight a to c3 with an attack on the queen. Hikaru played queen to d2, and now knight back to b5. We have rook to e1, nicely aligning the rook with the black queen. Knight b to c7, and knight e5, and those are two very, very impressive knights. Now also knight captures on f7 would really weaken the e6 pawn, which would make it a target. So Arjun decides to give up the bishop pair. Bishop captures, we have d captures, and rook to d8, nicely aligning the rook with the white queen. Queen to c1 and bishop to h5. We have bishop back to g2 and pawn to h6. Okay, bishop to f1, we have king to h7 and knight back to b3, rook d to c8, defending the knight, and now comes bishop captures on a7. The problem is you don't really have a good way of defending the knight. If you play rook b7, then knight a5 chases away the rook, then you capture. Of course, you give up the rook for two knights, and Hikaru is much better. So that's why rook d to c8, and Hikaru grabs the a7 pawn. Okay, now Hikaru is up a pawn. It's a passed a pawn, but there's still too much material on the board to actually do something about it by just pushing it. So you have to see where the game is going. Rook to a8, we have bishop back to f2, knight to a6, and now pawn to a3, taking away the b4 square from the knights. Rook captures on c2, queen captures, and the rook to c8, attacking the queen, queen d2, and the queen to a4 now, attacking the the pawn and the knight. The rook to c3 here is also very nice, putting pressure on the knight and just applying also pressure on a3. After playing queen to a4, you allow this very, very nasty knight to d4 move. The e6 pawn is hanging, but not only that the e6 pawn is hanging, there's also another problem. After bishop to f7, now Hikaru finds the winning idea, and I imagine you'll see it without pausing the video, but yes, Arjun is down below 3 minutes on the clock. Knight captures on f5. And not much to be done about this. E captures, queen captures on d5, not the best move as the bishop is defending it. Pawn to e6, of course, that is the way to do it. Bishop captures, rook captures, and now knight a to c7. Chases away the rook, rook e5, and knight to f6. We have bishop to h3 now going after the f5 pawn, knight to g4 defending, and queen to d3, putting pressure on f5, and there is nothing Arjun can do about it. Queen d3 is such an amazing move, nicely centralizing, defending on a3, attacking on f5. Bishop captures is a threat as the f-pawn is pinned, so there's nothing you can do about this. Knight captures on e5 is played. Yes, you do gain some material, but queen captures on f5, nicely connects with the rook on c8, knight to g6, and queen captures on c8. We have knight to d5. Okay, you know, when there's a knight, there's a way, they say, and when there's two knights, obviously there's more than one way, but Hikaru will make sure there isn't a way. Rook to c1, we have knight g to e7, and bishop to f1. We have knight to f6, and queen to b1 with check. King to h8, and now queen to b4. Hikaru is up 2 pawns, which means that if he trades queens, of course, the bishop pair on an open board will completely dominate the knight pair. We have queen to d7, pawn to a4. Now it's time to advance that pawn that we've discussed. Knight to f5, queen to b8 with check. We have king h7 and queen to b5. Again, either offering a trade or preparing to advance the a pawn. Queen to e6, and now bishop to c4. Grabbing even more space, we have queen to c8, bishop to d3. Now with a double attack on the knight, and there's not much more you can do than playing king g6, which would be just weird. If you go king g6, then that king is never moving, the queen is never moving, and you can just advance the passed a pawn to victory. Pawn to g6 is a little bit better, but it opens up the 7th rank for all sorts of checks. So queen to c5 offers a queen trade. queen d7, and now queen to a7, and he was in this position on move 62 that Arjun Erigaisi resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Once you trade or you just wait, captures, and then the pawn marches forward, or queen captures, then you capture with the bishop. You move the bishop, and the two bishops nicely escort the a pawn up the board. So yeah, Hikaru wins the second game, which means that he wins the match. He goes into the semifinals. He will face... they're actually playing at the moment while I'm discussing this, so we could also check what is happening if you guys are interested. Sorry about that. There we go. Yeah, Hikaru playing Vincent, Fabiano playing Magnus, and we'll see what happens. Those are classical games. Once they finish, I will, of course, cover them. So yeah, that's the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Peter Van Dost, Derek King, Charles Benjamin Flynn, Diane Schwartz, and Ilya Maltsev for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.